Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another fantastic episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join with me and my guest as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. I'm joined today by an old friend, David Reed. Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you again, Bob.
And you know what? I know that some of you who are fans and followers of Foxborough Central may have seen Dave wearing a different shirt, either a Foxborough JC shirt or a business shirt. You have you're a realtor. And
yes,
you're
I am.
With Keller Williams, but you're now the owner of Triboro Realty.
Triboro Realty Group, which is a team underneath the Keller Williams umbrella.
Okay. And David is not only a member of the Foxborough JCs, which is where I became good friends with you, but he's also part of our Foxborough Common Business Collaborative, a supporter of the Foxborough Uptown Business Group. So there's a lot of different ways that you've supported us in our community, and I guess that's why I reached out to you, because why are we here? Well, I'll tell you, because...
And actually some other outfits that I've worn recently were dressed as Fezziwig and...
Oh, that's right. Well...
and Old Joe.
On our stage at the Maryland Rodman Performing Arts Center. So and you are a member of SAG, and so you've appeared in commercial...
Well, I'm not SAG, but...
Oh, okay. And you are a member of... the acting community, yes. And so it is wonderful to have you here, and I see you in many different places. So as you know, here at Foxborough Central, I try to create interesting programs. And sometimes I try to get an industry expert to come in and just have a conversation. That's what I've done today. So I'm interested in the real estate market, and I would like to learn where it is at now. We all know the late 80s there was a real estate bubble and it went crash. We all know that in 2012 there was an economic downturn in every community in Massachusetts except for Foxborough, because we're blessed to have the New England Patriots and Patriot Place. But seriously, we sometimes go through our life and then all of a sudden things hit us and we don't know where that happened. And real estate is one of those things that I'm always fascinated, because as they say, they're not making any more land. So you can always invest in it. It's always a good investment. But is it? Is it always a good investment? So let's talk about Foxborough and the region in general. Do you have time for that?
Yeah, sure do. I'd love
excellent.
to. You're right. There, in 2007, 2008, there was a downturn in the market. Housing prices and home values decreased dramatically.
Okay.
That was the bubble. A lot of it was due to easy credit. You could get a mortgage if you could fog a spoon.
Well, that was also the time period where Lehman Brothers went out and the credit market dried up like that, and the subprime mortgage scandal, that was a huge, downward pressure on the market.
It was all tied in together.
Right.
And so that happened. So they tightened up credit, but home prices had
That was 11 years ago. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing to think about that. Wow.
And
time flies.
And it's a funny thing, if you look at a chart, I'll probably bounce around a lot, but if you look at a chart that...
then we're going to have a great conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Too, so.
If you look at home prices that from pre-2007, 2008, and just extended up with a normal appreciation rate of about 4%, you would find that the current prices are right about where that chart would be right now.
Really?
So given the downturn and then the growth that we've experienced recently, we're right about where we should be.
Isn't that interesting? Because they say with the stock market, if you're in it for the long term, you'll make your money, because if you're not going to play the market but you're going to be stable, then that trend is always going to go in that upward direction. And you're saying the same thing with real estate. So I shouldn't view real estate as a term of a bubble, or I guess there's two ways of looking at it. If I'm investing in it, then of course that's how I'm going to look at it. But if I'm looking at it from, this is where I'm going to raise my family, then the investment is more of a...
Well, let's look at it this way. If you look at multimillionaires and billionaires, a good portion of their portfolio is in real estate.
Okay.
So they see as a long-term that real estate's going to appreciate. Like anything else, there's going to be ups and downs. You want to time it accordingly. Unlike the market, where it's not timing the market, it's time in the market for the long term. We tend to, situations change in the, personal situations change in the real estate market. People move, families grow.
Jobs change.
Downsizing, things along those lines. So it's life situations that typically, or lifestyle situations that typically dictate those type of moves. And unfortunately, sometimes those events don't always align with the most opportune time to buy or sell. But what you need to do is, the main thing is know what your needs are, know the market, and deal with a professional to help you along the way.
Okay. So I'm speaking of professional. We're going to touch in there. I'm speaking with Dave Reed, who is the owner-agent of Triboro Realty Group, and they're with Keller Williams. I just kind of mashed David Williams in there. Sorry about that. With Keller Williams, one of the mainstays of the real estate world. And the red signs, they're now everywhere, and so very strong organization. You're happy with Keller Williams?
Very much so. Keller Williams is actually the largest real estate company in the world.
Really?
We have over 180,000 agents. And their philosophy is the company as a whole sees the agent as their client. And then the agent sees the home buyer, seller, investor as their client. So Keller Williams does what they can do to help support the agent and let that trickle down to the individual home buyer or seller.
It's really interesting because I know that you were not always a real estate agent. In fact, you and I would bump into each other occasionally taking the train into Boston.
Correct.
Previous careers for both of us. So how did you get into real estate?
Well, I was with John Hancock for the longest time, and there was a downsizing of the company.
Amazing that.
Yeah, believe it or not. And so the end of 2013.
They encouraged you to find a new career.
Exactly. And so I bummed around for a while, I should say, as doing different things. Acting was one of them. That was part of my career at that point. And then I had someone introduce me to the real estate world. And one of the great things I liked about it was the flexibility to focus on things that were important to me. Not only in the business world where helping them find and reach their lifestyle goals was important to me personally, but also spending time with my family, doing things within the community, and having that flexibility in my schedule to do more, be more, enjoy more. And this career has given me that opportunity. I find that even though I still work as many hours, if not, I actually spend more time with my family than I did previously. And I enjoy it tremendously. So I've been doing it I'm in my 5th year.
That's amazing, because it seems like you're just doing so well. I see the social posts, I see the success stories, and I know that you've made a lot of people happy with some connections. So we've established your bona fides as an industry professional. I think so. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to toss this information out. You can follow David Reed at www.tribororealtygroup.com. His telephone number is 508-813-5355. You can also reach out to him at his email address, davidreed, R-E-I-D, at tribororealtygroup.com. He's also on Facebook. You can follow him on Facebook and be a friend and learn all there is about real estate. But now the meat and potatoes of the program is today, 2019, I have a house. Do I buy? Do I sell? Is it a good time to rent? Do I sublease? Should I be concerned? Should I be happy? What's going on in the industry?
Oh, okay. Yes, you do have a house. I've been to your house.
You've been to my house, yes.
Yes. As people have probably seen over the last couple of years, we've had a shortage of inventory. And the simple basics of economics, where you have low supply, high demand, prices are going to increase dramatically. And that's what we've seen over the last couple of years. Depending on the area,
Is that just in Foxborough? Or?
No, we're talking nationwide. Right. It's going to have some, in this area, it's pretty much followed that that general
Because
course.
you hear the complaint all the time, there's nowhere for me to stay. My kids have now graduated high school. They want to start a family and be in the community, but there's no place to live that is affordable. And that's not just in Foxborough, but Foxborough
Right.
has its own set of realities, in that we have 35% green space due to our parks and our
Right.
forest, and our zoning doesn't make it conducive for high density development. However, we do have a number of projects that have been built over the last several decades, which have allowed us to exceed the state mandated 10% for affordable housing in a community. So there seems to be a push-pull there, where we have a supply, an inventory, if you will, of apartments and condos, and yet we still are viewed as a community that's not affordable. Is that true?
Well, it's a lot of the units, you do have your slice of the pie that is set aside for affordable housing. But the vast majority of the properties, some townhouse complexes, other buildings, they're in the $500,000 plus range. Where you have the glut of your demand is in the lower price points. And that's where
22 years old, 25, 29, 30, getting ready to start a family. I need to expand upsize from an apartment. I need
Right. First-time home buyers making that decision, either move out of their parents' house or move out of an apartment, or newly moving into the area, where they're looking at price point, $350, $350, $400 and below. That's where the biggest demand is, and that's where the lowest inventory has been. So we've seen year-over-year increases in prices upwards of 8%, which where your historical norm is in the 4% range.
Okay.
So it's almost a doubling of that. So people, what you hear people talk about, home prices are increasing so much, and it's true. Now what we're seeing is that we're seeing that there's going to be a shift in the market. And when I say shift, I'm saying that we're going to see year over year inventory levels rise, meaning compared to last year, the number of homes available on the market, we're seeing a slight uptick in that.
Really?
Yes.
Is that because we're all moving to the Seaport District in Boston, or what's the reason for that?
It's just, there's new homes. More importantly, people are putting their houses on the market. There's been, folks that were either afraid to jump in the pool, who are thinking of selling their home. Maybe they're afraid that there's going to be a bubble. I'll address that momentarily.
Okay.
Maybe they're afraid that, or what they want is to wait for the market to go up and get a higher price for their home. Or maybe they, which has been the case, are afraid that they can't find a place to purchase, especially if they're looking to downsize. So there's a multitude of reasons why inventory has been low.
Interestingly, I would think also that there has to be a lag time, because it takes a while to build a house. You don't just,
Right.
Grow a stalk of corn and you have a house.
Right.
There's a bit of work that goes into it. But so does that mean that the builders are now catching up with the inventory needs?
Not really builders per se, because it's costs of labor and materials and things like that have made it tough on builders. The price of land, all this stuff is going up. And in order to build a house that's affordable, where they can, not affordable, but where they can get an appropriate return on investment, they have to build a larger home.
Yeah, that's always the tough thing. I can't stand all the McMansions. However, if I'm building and I have a piece of land and I'm building, I want to maximize my investment.
Exactly.
And so there's got to be a break even, not a break even point, but a water level point where it's worth it to the builder to create and still affordable to the consumer who needs to buy.
Right, and they have to make that return, like I said, that return on their investment. So building a 1,200 square foot ranch or small cape or what have you doesn't give them that return.
You can get much more on the same plot of land.
Right. Where
by
you
doing
can get
more.
Yeah, you can get a 2,100 square foot colonial, 4 bedroom and 2 garages, and the same thing, and that's going to go for well over what that same ranch would do.
So that's a market reality.
Exactly.
And there's not much that can be done about that?
There is people who go west, as Horace Greeley said, "Go west, young man."
Go west, young man.
So what you're seeing is that the more affordable houses in that market are, $495 is now what $128 used to be.
Okay.
So you move a little bit further west, and you go into some of the other towns where you can get either getting an older home or you're getting a smaller home, but something that is more affordable in that price range.
So Uxbridge, Hopkinton, Sudbury are the new Mansfields.
Exactly. Bellingham. Attleboro is still very affordable. Some folks are moving over the Rhode Island border.
But I want to stay in Foxborough.
Okay.
How do I do that?
How do you do that? Okay.
Are there still deals to be had?
There are deals to be had if, they're in the price point I was talking about, in the $350 price point up to $400 price point. That's where, the inventory is the lowest. So that's why you're having trouble for most people finding what they would consider an affordable home in Foxborough. Now, the good news is that since inventory is starting to pick up a bit, people are either moving on to the bigger houses, they're moving up, they feel more comfortable now, they're moving up. Jobs are doing, employment is doing better.
Employment is at a historical low. The
market's
economy
doing
is
better.
creeping up, yeah.
Confidence is a little bit higher. So people feel more confident in moving up to a larger home, more expensive home, whatever the case may be. And so some of these starter homes are being made available. So we're seeing inventory in that niche area increasing. So what that does is, again, going back to the idea or the concept of supply and demand, supply is increasing, demand is staying about the same or being satisfied. Home prices, the appreciation is going to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
So we're coming back to that 4.5% appreciation rate on homes. Basically, the price increase is going to be slower than it was before.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to change gears here for a second. I want to talk about how to find the best realtor. But I'm speaking with David Reed. He is my real estate professional for this program of Foxborough Central. He's an owner agent with Triboro Realty Group, and they're with the Keller Williams team. They can be contacted www.tribororealtygroup.com. His telephone number is 508-813-5355, or you can reach out to him directly at David Reed, that's DAVID, at tribororealtygroup.com. So I'm thinking it's now time to sell a house. Maybe I got a job in Topeka and I need to move to Kansas, and so I need to sell this house. We all call up David, but maybe I don't know David. And so if I were looking, what is the professional certification? What's the best way to identify a qualified realtor? Or do I just look on MySpace? What's the pages, Craigslist. So I just look on Craigslist for a realtor.
Yeah, you don't want to look on Craigslist.
I don't want to look on Craigslist for a realtor?
I tell you, the best thing to do is talk to people who have had very positive experiences.
Personal referrals are always the best source.
Exactly, because people that you know and trust.
Because there are a lot of real estate agents out there, I'm sure.
Right.
And we have many great ones here in Foxborough.
Very true, very true. And so you want to go with someone that you feel comfortable with. I recommend talking to a couple of folks, not only a couple of friends, but to a couple of realtors as well. And the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent, realtors have to go through additional training. They're held to a higher ethical standard than a real estate agent is.
So realtor is
it's a designation.
Okay.
Yeah, a membership. But you do have to do some additional training and go through a couple additional hoops in order to get that realtor designation.
That's good to know.
But find someone you're comfortable with. There's going to be people who, whose style might not be what you like, or their approach might not be what you like, or not what you like.
That's true. I guess that's true anywhere, because everybody's not everybody's cup of tea. And
Exactly.
and buying a house, what a big decision that is.
That's
and you're really trusting somebody. And I've had good experiences and I've had bad experiences with realtors and people who have been friends, and not Massachusetts. I've been here for a long time. But the interesting part of that is, every experience where you're making such a huge purchase or a huge sale, there's so many different pieces that go into it. And I guess experience is the best teacher.
Right.
But that's got to be references.
Yep, references are good. Another point is what you're saying, trust. You want to have trust in the fact that the person has a game plan. There's a
You mean I don't just post it on Craigslist?
right.
And
Well,
people just show
or
up
what we call there. Like you say, with any profession, there's going to be people who do it well, people who don't do it so well. In very good times, anyone can help sell a home. But you want, there's a joke about the agents who do the 3 Ps. They post it on MLS, plant a sign in the ground, and pray that someone buys the house. So you want to look at someone who's has a better marketing approach, better marketing plan. Over 90% of people looking to buy a home today start their own independent search on the internet, whether it's through Zillow, Trulia, individual websites, through Realtor.com, websites like my own, things along those lines. So that's even before they start talking to an agent.
Sure.
So you want to have, or Facebook is another one. The other social media, Instagram, what have you. So you want to make sure that you have someone that is in tune with that aspect of marketing, that is going to put it out there and make sure everyone knows that your house is for sale.
So a potential real estate agent should be able to tell you, so I have a plan, this is my plan for your property, this is what I would do.
Exactly. And you want to make sure it's somewhat multimedia, pictures, or again, social media, utilizing pictures, video, even doing the old-fashioned, one of the things I do is I put a house on the market, I'll go out to the neighbors with flyers and letting them know that a house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here's a chance for you to pick your neighbor, type of thing. But just to get as many people as possible aware of the fact that a home is for sale. And so you want to make sure that the person that you choose is in tune with all these different marketing tools that are at their disposal.
Okay. So again, I'm speaking with David Reed, and we're so out of time. I'm going to give you the last word. I've got one more question for you. David Reed is our real estate professional. We're talking real estate is now a good time to buy a house. So along with selling and buying, there's financing. So and I know you're not a banker, but just in your experience as a realtor, what is your take on the market right now as far as, is credit easy to get? Are banks willing to lend? Are there potholes out there that people should be looking out for right now?
Banks are willing to lend, but they want to make sure that you're a viable borrower.
Does that mean getting pre-approved?
That's one of the first things you should do when you decide to buy a home is get pre-approved by a lender. Because number one, you want to know what your limit is, so you want to know what segment of the market you should be looking for. If you can afford X, you don't want to be looking for Y.
Okay. That's
one thing. Another thing is anytime you want to be prepared to put in an offer at any time if you find the house. No real estate agent will accept an offer from an individual who's not pre-approved. It's just too much of a risk there. Plus, it's also an ability to uncover any potential blemishes that you have on your credit report that you might not know about. So all these help you to become a more educated buyer, knowing what your limits are. Okay. Most people do not realize that you can buy a home for as little as 0% down. There are different programs out there, and that your credit score does not have to be in the upper 700s. There are programs out there for people in the low to mid 600s. So if you're interested in buying, talk to a lender. If you want a referral, I have plenty of people that have helped my clients with their home mortgages. So, and it doesn't cost anything to talk to these folks. So you get an idea of where you stand in the home buying situation.
Okay, and that would give you the guidance, so that way you're not wasting a realtor's time or your own time by looking at Y when you should really be looking at X.
Exactly.
Know your price range, essentially.
That's it. And whether you would qualify, and whether you need to do some quick repair work.
Okay, excellent. Well, Dave, thanks so much for being here. We are out of time. I'm going to remind everybody one more time that I'm speaking with David Reed. He's the owner-agent with Triboro Realty Group. That's under the Keller Williams flag. You can check him out at www.tribororealtygroup.com. His office number is 508-813-5355, or you can reach out to him by email at davidreed, R-E-I-D, at tribororealtygroup.com. Dave, thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little bit of industry insight, a little snapshot in 2019 of where the real estate market is. Right. And you get the final word.
Okay. If anyone has any questions about the current market, just in general, or how it applies to them specifically, feel free to reach out. I'm available for questions. More than happy to sit down, give someone a market analysis on the value of their home. Give them an idea of what they need to do, if anything, to make it more market ready. And that's no cost, no obligation. I'm here to help.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for coming in.
My pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the program. I hope you've learned something. I know I have. And I hope you come back again to another episode of Foxborough Central. If you missed any of the information here, you want to check it out again. Of course, we are always online at www.fcatv.org. You can also be a friend and follow us on our YouTube channel at Foxborough Cable Access. Click on Foxborough Central and you'll see this and all the other great episodes we've had. On behalf of all the volunteers here at Foxborough Cable Access, I'm Bob Hickey, and I hope you had a great day, Foxborough.